if you do different marks, it doesn't matter. You know, we're not looking at making a forgery, it's purely for learning. And then we need to look at how we think he would have painted it. So I think he would have stained the paper first with a nice warm colour, which is also painting the path as well. But this would have been definitely light in tone. So that's the paper toned a nice warm yellow. The clouds have all got hard edges, so he would have painted those, well, he would have painted the sky to make the cloud, but that would have been done on dry paper because of the hard edge. If I try to do it now while the paper's wet, I'll get a soft edge, which you may want to try, but we're going to stick with his plan. So we'll let this dry. Make a nice colour for the sky. Not that. Look more like it. So the important thing here is to go fairly light, that we don't want to go too dark because the trees will have less impact. And I'm pretty sure he probably would have just painted the whole sky, and then this dark cloud was probably painted on afterwards as a second part of his plan, maybe. So try to get some natural shapes. And if your sky is not as blue as his, it doesn't matter. So we'll go with that. The important thing is I've got the light around the tree here. So we'll let that dry, and then I can then paint this darker colour. Well, I think what he probably would have done, he would have painted the sky like this, then he would have moved further down, and then this was probably added a bit later once it dried naturally. So we'll do that. So we've got some blue distant hills. Hopefully you enjoy this video and you get something from it. If you do, please do hit that like and subscribe. This is a fairly new channel which I'm trying to grow. Some of you may already know that I've got some other channels, Loose Watercolors with Robert Me and Oil Painting with Robert Me. These are slightly larger channels with all my latest demos. So this channel here is more for sharing other stuff that I do, and perhaps some of my older demos as well, which I think still got some value in them. So let's get on with the video. Thanks for watching. Into that blue we made. Don't want to go too dark with this area of grass, so let's keep it fairly light in tone. So careful of my path. And it seems to warm up a little bit over this side, so I'll put a bit of yellow ochre in here. So I have the path leading us out to the painting. Or we can actually close it off a little bit so it doesn't actually take us out the painting. So I shall concentrate the light area here. Lift it a little bit out there. But like I say, it doesn't matter if we don't stick to the reference picture, and we could just suggest some darker areas in the grass that you know, on a small scene like this is only 10 by 7 inches, you know, we're not painting blades of grass, we're just suggesting it. So just a bit of texture there. So now we need some thicker paint and go quite dark for these trees. I'll put a little bit of neutral tint. You probably would have had Payne's grey possibly. So yellow ochre, a bit of neutral tint or Payne's grey, and a bit of the blue. So now we need broken line, broken edges for the sky holes. But again, I'm not worried about making an exact replica. Reload the brush, and you can see as he painted it down onto this ground, which was probably wet when he was painting it, so the paper was wet, so it then bled onto the grass here, which gave us a nice bit of connection. Let's go to a slightly smaller brush, or a more pointy brush, shall we say. So we'll need a bit of a point to do these bits of detail. So we've got the trunk of the tree, which is quite dark under there, and actually there's some darks under the tree there, which is best to do that while it's wet. Needs more green in it over here. And these branches, which again there's no point trying to replicate every branch. Okay, so it doesn't run down too much. So we're getting the idea. You can see a little bit of warmth here. So these are perhaps maybe stones or something. And then there's a bit of a fence, maybe a sty for walking over. A couple of posts that are obviously nearly falling over, or they could be rocks or something maybe. So let's just pull that across there. So we'll let that dry. So now I can imagine him now thinking, could give it a little bit more depth if we had something darker here. So let's put in a darker landmass, a bit of ultramarine blue into that neutral tint. Some water there, let's turn that off. And then we've got these few marks on the grass here. So let's try and do it as he did it, so shapes rather than dry brush. So I see he was probably painting this on plein air, so he was probably looking at shadows or just marks in the grass. So it's very difficult to kind of replicate his thinking there. And just a little bit of something in the ground here. I don't want to make it too dark. And there's a few directional lines. Fine. And then I think he probably got to this stage and thought he's not happy with the sky, wants to give the sky more depth, so let's put a darker cloud coming over here. So let's give that a go. So the brush. Try that more cloud looking. And this is a good opportunity to try out different brushes for clouds and things. You know, you could practice this scene again but using different brushes and see what success you have with them or not. Changing the clouds, deviated away from the great master. So let's dry that off and take a look. Just going to close this gap up a little bit, add a bit more tension. And I think I'll just put a bit of a wash over there because they're a bit too dark, the marks there, I think. Just put a few abstract marks in here like he's got there, and I think we'll call that a day. So it's not an exact replica, but you know, I've learned a lot from this. That I've learned about, you know, composition. That we've got this path that leads us in, but he could have just had a mass of trees here, but decided to leave an opening. So your eye does have somewhere to go, and also with the cloud, the dark cloud here, he's left some light sky here, which allows your eye to travel along the top of the trees and then up into the sky. And then we've got some, you know, we've got an arrow here that directs us to the focal point, which is perhaps the tree here with the light against the dark. Just a subtle bit of interest. So great exercises, and I think Seago is a good artist to learn from, because you know, he does paint things quite simply, but they're very well thought out, great compositions. So give that a go. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Please do hit the like and subscribe. Check the link in the description to my other channels, and also I've got membership through my website if you want to watch the videos without adverts, and meet me on a live stream, and we can actually paint together on a live stream as well. So until next time, bye for now.